Thank you. It was nice.
Looks like Bitcoin is headed much lower. They're targeting still 67. They should catch a little bounce here somewhere, and then they should go here. And if you're in SBIT shares, remember our target is about 74. So 73.20 is my first sell here. If you guys are in it, keep an eye on it this week. Pretty sure we're gonna get it. All right, well, let's take a look what we got for the market. We should see some more movement and not the structure that we had last week. Oops. So if you think about it, I'm on the weekly chart. I'm just gonna hide some stuff here. So this is our weekly profiles right here. So you guys know here are the settings. This will change to 68 for now. So let us shift. This is, a lot of people focus on volume on weeks like last week, and that's not the week where you're like, oh man, we can't grind up on low volume. You can certainly grind up a lot higher on that type of volume that we had last week, right? Because there's not a lot of sellers, so it's easy to absorb all those, limit orders on the ask, and they just kind of keep going aggressively till they hit a level, right, where they did last week. They came in at a pivotal level and they struggled a little bit, right? This was the final target we had. We had some above here that we were looking to see if they're going to make it, right? They had some virgin POCs in the area. Didn't get there, and after hours today they got some sell-off. We did get into some SPY puts for Monday and also January, I believe. Don't quote me on the date, either 16th or 19th. I posted it for the ones that I did get. So those should be, I believe, up as long as we stay where we are right now. We'll get into why we, got into them, but let's just kind of start the analysis, right? So last week's poor structure, I would say, once they lose this level, let's say right here about 23, if they do lose it, it's going to open up a bloodbath, right? Just because if you take a look at that profile, that's the final distribution that they have right here. And then you have like 1 TPOs, and it kind of goes all the way down to the gap, right? You see the nice little gap that they have here, and I marked that on a chart. And then below that, really, 67, 66 is probably the magnet that they're going to go for, right? Because this is the distributions that are being divided. Let me kind of show you this right here. So same thing, they have a distribution that's being split here. And then you have another one. I would say tiny one, like right here. And then right below that, where you have these single prints, and it also happens to be the halfback sitting at 54.75. I would pay attention to this level right here. If they do something like this, right, there's a high chance they might go for the gap like area right here with the LVMs. And then, maybe they execute something like this as well, which would be prior week POC in the area. But for right now, for me is, 23 is a big level, right? Especially considering overnight. I think, we're right there on it right now. If we do lose that level, I would expect us to go to 808. You guys remember the 12 level or 1325 or 1225? It's this level right here. You guys remember it? You guys recall what this is?
Was that the previous all-time high?
Yeah, this was 812.5. Yeah, that was a prior all-time high. We talked about this, I would say, a few times. You lose it, and we targeted the bottom. If you guys remember closing the puts, it was somewhere around here, I think 508. They came into the 50.25, right, bounced, and then of course they ran it up. Maybe that's the Santa rally that we were talking about. And now if they're able to lose this level, and I'm just talking larger picture, right? Let's say they're not able to, they lose this here, and then tomorrow they lose this area right here, this little zone. It really opens up a potential dump for the market, right? Most likely you would lose about another 50 points here, and then ultimately go all the way to the prior week POC and volume profile down, right? You do have this halfback that I would worry about on RTH, and I'll show you guys that. Your mid for halfback is right here, right next to this massive CPOC that we have for 2 months. So I took 2 months and I just drew the FVP. You could actually grab maybe even more just like right here. And you will see that, you will have some major shelves here. You see this shelf here, then you'll have another major shelf sitting at 6671 as well. So nothing wrong with you marking these as HVNs or CPOCs, right? You can definitely put this HVN. You can also put the bottom one and call it CPOC. And indirectly, they mean what? Do they mean something different?
Not really.
Not really. I mean, this just tells me this was the fairest price. This is a pretty massive node, right? So if I was to hide this right here, you'll see that this node and this node are pretty close to each other, right? They're not really, there's not a big difference between them. So if I was to hide these candles, you guys will see that there's really not much difference. It could be either one. And that's the reason why I marked them. And, there's a high chance that they're going to probably go towards this. You lose this area, you have the LVN, which was kind of the SPs here as well. You see a little bit of an LVN. Then you're ultimately targeting POC. But then I would say probably that we're going to go towards this level right here. Now that I added 3 more weeks, it would be around 6650 that we would be targeting for the market.
What about that HVN in the middle, in between the two that you marked?
Yeah, so this one here is going to be boring, right? So this one here is going to be price action, like you see here, here. It's going to drive you nuts once it comes to this level. And typically what it does here, it'll dance like this, and then all of a sudden you'll get something like this, or typically, you go above, you fail, you're going to target here on the first sig. But you're going to, it's going to be boring, boring, boring. News come up, and then a flush. This means that they're just happy trading in this area right now. They're super happy trading here. And you can see it, right? Look at the price action. Anytime you're in bottom, right? And this is, I will consider this, this was a trap on the bear side, right? Oh, and then they bounced, reclaimed some major levels and proceeded, right? So let me turn on the TPO again real quick. And hide these candles. Is there anything else on the weekly that you guys would take a look here? So everything that we have marked, right? You have a distribution, you have a poor high on the weekly at the top. So maybe they're not done. Maybe they're just exhausted, right? And then you have this gap here. You can extend it left. So you have this gap, right? And then you have this SIG and all-time high there, right? So I would say prior all-time high, call it path at the top. So this zone, is crucial for a long time frame, right? If they lose this, this will be the 4th time they're losing it, and they're not able to hold it, right? So they lost it, came back, lost it, and now let's see what they do, right? Do they lose it or whatever happens? We'll find out. But this would be pretty massive, right? If they do lose this level, let's say they lose this here, then ultimately you can expect them to kind of go towards that 50 level right here, which would be your first SIG. These levels in between is if you're day trading, so you know what's coming and what's around. If you're swinging some shorts or SPY puts, you can aim for the bottom here. Any questions so far?
Are you using market profile for the weekly just because there wasn't a lot of volume last week?
No, well, there was, yeah. I typically look at it, and it also tells me the structure of the market really clear. I did look at the PVP on this on the right side. You'll see it here pop up, and it's pretty bad as well, right? You see the nodes and volume, and this is your prior week POC here. I'll always take a look at market profile on the weekly just to see the structures. It's much easier to see it than I would say volume profile, just to see it until you get used to it. You can definitely see it here, LVN. But some people also have to do this, like where you enable it. So your eyes can handle it, right? You see now. You see the same thing here, right? You see the fall off. You can train your eyes to do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you.
Right, when we bounce there, nothing major, and it's right at that CPOC that we had. And that's our weekly, right? Month end is coming up, right? And then when you go look at the daily here, I'll just go on 30 minutes for a moment. Say half of these days you don't even have to use. It just takes forever now on TPOs to turn on. So when you look at the daily, right, besides the poor high, maybe that was N period, let's find out. Nope, that was H. So besides this Friday, right, and it was half day, so you really don't count it. And Wednesday was the real day, Thursday were closed. So they had the poor high, they came and cleaned it up, left with another poor high. Is there anything that stands out? You know, if you're to use this, what would be your day-to-day bearish level that you're watching? You
Would
have
it
two
be
facts of information, so use that, you know. Poor high.
would it
This would be pretty important, right, for you guys come tomorrow. If this is my prior day value area high, and let's say I am not able to open above, I'm just marking this for purpose of explaining it. Let's say we open above here and we crack this, well, there's a pretty good chance, 80% chance that you're gonna go here, right? And this would be your 80% rule. Which means there's 80% chance if you can't hold this that you're gonna go and play it. And it seems like, right, that they played this out overnight perfectly. So nobody watching, go ahead and run it. So now let's say they reclaim this level here about 30. That means that they're rejecting this distribution overnight. Maybe they can go to the top and ultimately trade in here, which would be, I would say, somewhat bullish. I wouldn't count Friday as a major day for me. Everything would be based off of Wednesday. And that's just the way I look at it, but I don't think they're going to bounce much. Does that make sense? The 80% rule, just so you guys are on target. So for me, the 45 level would be critical. If I didn't know where ETH is, this would be my level to know, are you going to go higher or lower? If you fall back inside, then most likely you're going to execute this. Let's say you lose this value area low. Well, what do you have once you lose value area low besides this long-term level? Day to day, what do you have?
The gap, that gap zone.
You only have a gap, and then right here, I don't even know what kind of structure you call this. It's pretty bad, right? So if you take a look at it, probably 67.30 would be the level to go for. It would be the halfback. You have some single prints in this area, right, between this Tuesday and up. So this distribution probably is going to be explored, which is the weekly halfback. I would anticipate they do this, right? So day to day, lose this, very high chance you're going to close the gap at least. Can you expect buyers to show up at the gap? Yeah, certainly. We'll watch for that and see. But if they can't hold this, guys, it's almost toothpicks holding this market right now. And they're pretty shaky at the moment. Considering the Bitcoin is also taking a dump, right? It might cause some pulling back. In terms of puts, does everybody understand why we got into the puts on, I guess it was Friday or Wednesday, I forgot which day we got in. So one of the reasons, if you remember, Drew brought up also on the clouds that we had clouds that were closed, and then we reviewed those clouds with ES, SPY, and a few other tickers as well. And it was setting up like a really nice setup that I did say that I'm gonna play in a little heavier, right? And see how it plays out, right? We talked about getting Monday's puts and also talking about January puts, monthlies. So I did get both, and no excitement. I just want to see how they open tomorrow. Hopefully they reject the value area low and seek the value lower somewhere towards that 6768 or halfback. That would be my ultimate trim level, especially on the Monday puts, right? If you do have Monday puts, if we can get somewhere close to this would be a pretty good close. And here, this would be your SPY levels for it. Maybe SPX, let's switch it. So you're talking about 674, 675 in that area. Weekly halfback would be 673. If they can give us prior week POC, that would be golden. 670, that would put a lot of stuff in the money.
Shorty, how high into the cloud did it end up going?
I encroached it, but I don't think it did much damage there. Let Thinkorswim update view here. But is everybody understanding? So we're using Wednesday's value, right, to kind of assess the market, not Fridays. We don't really care about Friday. And then if you're to combine this day with prior and combine this day with prior, you will see, the weekly profile, I guess, will be built here off of the dailies, and you'll see the structure is really bad. Like, it's pretty horrific. So here's your structure for the weekly. And you can see, you have a node here, right? And then you lose that. You really don't have much till you come to this level. You lose that, then really the value is kind of created in this area. So they could explore all the way to the bottom here. Let me bring up the...
Shorty, doesn't the clouds on TradingView, the orbit straight clouds, work the same as in Thinkorswim?
Yes, everything but 4 hours works the same. Thinkorswim and TradingView calculate 4 hours differently. But everything else should be the same.
Maybe in the future, if you could show us how that works on TradingView.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Let me just detach this guy for you guys so I can bring it up. And if you guys do have Thinkorswim, and you don't have, let's say you guys don't have the ability to get market profile anywhere else, you guys have that in Thinkorswim as well. So keep in mind.
How does market profile differ from TradingView and Thinkorswim?
It's just slightly off. Not off, but different. So here's your ES one. It's called monkey bars. Don't ask why. I have no idea why they did that. So it's called monkey bars here. If you look, and then you just have to kind of change it and see, right? I have my setup pretty much the same, but you can definitely use it. You can adjust it where it's not ETH, right, or whatever you prefer. So that exists, right? All right, well, here goes ES to 6803 tonight. Pretty sure that's going to happen. Let me... Another one, the other screen. Let me move this whole stack here. So here's this one here. So here's the cloud that we were talking about. And so if you guys look, the weekly cloud here is closed, right? And we talked about that close. I think Drew was super excited about it, that it was, pretty closed. And, I didn't want to give people full hope, to go in and put their life savings in it, right? But it's a setup that I would say we take a lot, especially when it works out. If you guys remember, we kind of went over it, few scenarios, few stocks here, went to the bottom, So let's say this was to play out, you know, most likely they're going to go 6770, and then we'll be targeting somewhere around 6606, which should be about 240 points below on this one. So they didn't really encroach it. Somebody asked how heavy did they go in? Not heavy at all, right? Let me see. So here's your bottom of the cloud sitting at 50. They went to 63, so 12 points in. They didn't even get to the 618 of the cloud. So nothing exciting from them just yet. And then
Damn.
if you check SPY again, no, I didn't even see this print. Did you guys see this print? Oh, wow. On Friday? Did anyone see this print?
I didn't see that.
Huh.
It was just a fluke for a second and it recovered.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Is that some dark pool stuff?
Could be, yeah. Interesting print. Okay, so I would target it, right? That they're probably gonna go here 672, and then ultimately, 658 would potentially be a bounce zone right here. So that's right here. And this is our daily, and daily bottom is closed. I would say there's a very high chance we're going to be at 660 this week. Very strong chance we're going to be here at the bottom. Like this will be our target. Right here. I would probably close some puts there. And that happens to be also, yeah, that happens to be a weekly mid too, right at that level. Right here. So probably a good spot to close some puts. And I think all of us would be in the money at 658. Okay, I did tell you guys that we'll trade SPX, and I'll trade the trading screen so you guys can actually see it. We'll probably do that next week or this week, depends how the market behaves. Well, I'll show you guys how I execute the trades for SPX when we play the 0DTs.
Cool.
Do you mind showing us on Trading View the clouds? Just something
Oh,
brief.
right now? Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
could, thank you.
Yep, so let's take a look. I don't have them here. Has a weird name now. It's called SKC, but I don't see it. Let's see this. I just cannot see these letters right here. So on TradingView, you guys have the same setup, right? So you have the inputs, right? You have the clouds that you want to show, right? Show the daily cloud, show the weekly clouds, and if you guys have done the training on the clouds, I typically, in a longer time frame, I would care about daily, weekly, and monthly cloud. And then you can also show the MACDs, right? Well, I'll show you the table for the clouds, and we can start from there, right? So let me just hide drawings here so we don't see that. So here's your clouds, and maybe you can change your letters to be somewhat different. You see the colors, you can adjust that. So 4 hours. Let me see that I enable. Okay, it's 4 hours.
I thought you were using that on the orbit straight clouds. I don't have that indicator.
Oh,
I
these?
thought,
Yeah, you can use. They're both produce the same levels. I actually prefer straight clouds over these because I can't keep up with the lines. They're actually called Shorty clouds straight, I
right
believe.
there.
Second from the top. On the left, Shorty, it's already there.
Right there.
Oh, he's talking about it here. Yep. So here's same setup. I mean, I would say you can change this to be cloud one. You know, you can change this to be the 1 day, cloud two to be whatever you prefer, maybe 1 day, and 3 cloud to be weekly. If you want to show this one, it can be a monthly cloud. And I would say you can adjust colors as, I guess, as you wish.
Thank you.
I would say same setup, right? Here's the same thing, right? So the clouds come up, clouds close, the daily bottom is closed, as you saw in mine, right? On the Thinkorswim, and most likely that they're headed towards that on the bottom as well. And then you can adjust the colors where you can kind of, let's see.
Is there a
Play with
setting
that.
that it'll show them to close?
Yeah. So you see the gray, the coloring behind them.
Mine doesn't look that way. Is there a button on there?
Let me see. So I don't know if you have show cloud labels, the midlines, you want to kind of put that in. And I can screenshot these settings that I have as well as a default. And see if that helps you. And I think here, that's all you would have on these.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And then if you don't need, let's say, I'll probably keep, just to keep it simple, weekly and the monthly cloud. But you get used to it. So here's this now, and you will have to learn the colors, right? You see the blue, blue mid, the bottom, the monthly top is also here, and then the weekly bottom being pretty far, 63.48, and the weekly top is closed. You see the shading between them. So let's hide the daily. Again, the daily. So here's your weekly. See the weekly? Either I have it multiple times. I do have it multiple times. I'm like, man, why in the world is it showing up multiple times? But here's your weekly, right? It's closed, and now you have the ability to kind of go all the way to the bottom. So most likely, I would say target the mid here, 6606 on a long term, and then the weekly bottom here. But that's the setup I would use on this one. And if you want the curvy ones, just shoot me your TradingView username, and I can let you have. I just don't like them personally. I use straight clouds most of the time. Okay. All right. Let's see what we got here. So what questions you guys got on ES? This is probably not a bad short overnight. Just letting you know. It's not a bad short. Target 808 or so. It's going to get there.
Question about charting.
Mm-hmm.
If we are kind of discounting Thursday and Friday, do we still take like the full week into account?
Full weekend?
A full week from like Sunday to Saturday.
For last week?
Yes.
I was just, I mean, it was there. Friday was there. You saw it, right? But I wouldn't put too much analysis around Friday. Wednesday was the last full day that we had.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
I
then I
wouldn't.
guess,
Yeah.
so I'm guessing
There's no way.
shorter for the short tonight, probably retest the PD value area low.
That's the ideal, yes. Yeah, because take a look at it. I mean,
It just
if you
broke it.
just if you look right here, the whole night here on Thursday night, and then of course they ran it up. That balance high was tried to be held. Once you lost this was an easy short. So now when they come back from the bottom, most likely they're going to give you this. Good analysis for you, though. Okay. Alrighty, guys. Well, have a good night. I will schedule a class for upcoming weekend that we can go through some stuff, maybe cover some of the cloud stuff, continue in the market profile. I was able to fix 2 out of the 3 formatting things, and if I can't get it fixed tomorrow, I'll probably just publish it. And you guys can go at it and kind of see where it fits within your learning curve and kind of learning style, and then give me feedback what we can adjust and improve from there.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Alrighty, guys. Have a good night.
Thank
See
you.
you
Good
next
night.
week.